The Tampa Bay Buccaneers get a double dose of good news, and they have a huge matchup against the 49ers, and it's going to be it's kind of it's not a must win, but it's a really important game. If you're new to the channel, we're Detroit Lions fans, but we have this channel dedicated to teams that just kind of get overlooked by the national media. They're kind of underdogs. That's what the Lions were for so many years, and so we like talking about those types of teams, Tampa Bay being one of them. And here's the good news. First of all, Baker Mayfield was injured or didn't practice, and I was like, what is this? But he has been, as more information comes out, he is good to go. And so he's all good. Let's pull this up so you can see it. Here we go. So he injured his toe during Monday night's loss to Kansas City and has missed the last 2 days of practice. Let's blow this up a little bit. Whoop. But it's more of a strategical thing to hold him out of practice. He will be fine. So this is really good. I've been hearing about this a little bit, kind of circulating. He's a little sore, but he'll be fine. So that's good news number one. I mean, come on. You have to have Baker Mayfield in this matchup because you're already out some players, especially wide receivers. You really have no chance against the 49ers, who are actually getting a little bit more healthy, but he's going to come back. Second bit of good news is Kyle Shanahan was asked about Baker Mayfield. They're just talking about the Buccaneers. And I get it. Like, what is he supposed to say, that Baker Mayfield sucks? No, he's not going to do that. But he says, I think Baker Mayfield is a stud. I thought he was at the top of his game last year, played really well. This year, I think he's the same, if not better. I think he's playing at such a high level right now. I think Baker Mayfield's a stud. Now, why is this good news? I think it's a good reminder for Buccaneers fans. This season has kind of been weird. You're in every game. You're right there. You've lost a couple heartbreakers. You beat the Lions. You give the Lions the only loss that they have. Then that following week, you follow it up with a clunker against Denver. You've lost a couple heartbreakers, Atlanta. So it's like it's this up and down thing. But at the end of the day, you have a really good quarterback. And the reason I say that is because when you think about Tampa Bay and what they have coming up and what the rest of the season looks like, you've got a fighting chance. 4-5 in the division. You're second in the NFC South. A lot of things can happen. So to have Kyle Shanahan say that Baker Mayfield is playing is a stud, it's really important. I think Tampa Bay, you can lose sight of that, because if you're a Buccaneers fan, you've had this up and down kind of time as being a fan. You just go back the last 10 years. You're like trying to figure out, what are we? Are we good? We're kind of good. Then you start to build up the roster. Tom Brady comes there, win a Super Bowl. He leaves, and it's like, okay, what are we now? You get Baker Mayfield. What's he always been? And now you get Baker Mayfield playing at a high level. He's a stud. His salary is middle of the road salary when all these guys are making 45, 50. The next quarterback dude is going to make 55, 60 million. Like, right? It just keeps going, stacking on top of each other. Meanwhile, you got Baker Mayfield, middle of the road, making 30, 35 million, something like that. Perfect. You can build your team around him. You can win games with him. You saw it last year. It was a perfect example. Make the playoffs, win the division, home playoff game, and then you win in the playoffs and take the Lions right down to the wire. I mean, it's not bad. So if you look at the schedule, here's what we're looking at here. And hold on. Let me pull this up. So as you look at the schedule, there's a couple things that I think you have to take note of, and that is, I don't know why the schedule's not pulling up. Kind of weird. But what I love is you've had, I'll just read it to you. You guys already know, but Baltimore, Atlanta, Kansas City. I mean, that's tough. That's a tough stretch. You lose all of them. Okay, fine. You lost to Atlanta in overtime. You beat the Saints. You lose to Baltimore, Atlanta close, Kansas City in overtime. Just brutal. Then you got to go to San Francisco. But then after that, this is it, right? So let's assume you lose to San Francisco. And here's more good news. You've got the Giants, Carolina, Las Vegas, Raiders, and the Chargers. So you have 4, like, finally let's breathe games. And then after that, you've got Dallas, who is just out of it. I mean, Dallas is no good. Carolina again, and New Orleans. So this schedule has definitely been front-loaded. You've got San Francisco, and then it just releases. So there's more good news if you're a Buccaneers fan, and you have to be excited about what that looks like. You are the same team. I know there's injuries. I know there's some different things, but you're the same team that put together a plan and stopped the Detroit Lions. Since the Lions played the Buccaneers, maybe you know this. I don't know. This is not a Lions video, but it just goes to show like the Buccaneers were the only team to slow the Lions down this year. Since that game, the Lions have more touchdowns than incomplete passes. It's incredible. So my whole point in saying that is the Buccaneers actually slowed the Lions, stopped the Lions. They can do it again. I just think if I'm a Buccaneers fan, I got to be confident in this team. It's a long season. It's been frustrating losses, but you can still win the division. If not win the division, get into the playoffs, and then get healthy. Things could be okay for this team. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to this. And now as we look ahead to this game, a couple things that I think are really important. This is a 1 o'clock game. Which I don't know. I always find interesting because when a West Coast team has to come to the East Coast and play a 1 o'clock game, it is a real thing. It has to be. They're playing at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, their time. So that's advantage number one. I love the 1 o'clock game if I'm the home team for that. And you got a West Coast team coming across. Christian McCaffrey is likely to return for the 49ers, but I don't expect him to be like, oh, man, this is really bad. He's fresh and killing us. I got to believe it's more he's working his way back into it. And they know that they've got an opportunity to make a run if they can put together a few games, and they don't want to just throw him out there like, I mean. So it's a real thing, McCaffrey being back, but I'm also not like terrified if I'm a Buccaneers fan, if that makes sense. Next one is the Bucs don't have wide receivers. So it's like, okay, this is just going to have to be, we got to run the ball, control the clock. This is not the powerhouse 49ers that we've known for the last 5 years. I think it's another thing we have to remember. Are they good? Absolutely. This is not a gimme game, but just don't look at this like, oh, she's 49ers. Like, here we go. It's like, this is a winnable game. The other one that, it's kind of a must-win for both 49ers and Buccaneers, though, too. So this is going to be highly competitive, and I think it's really good. Like we've said, the good news for the Buccaneers is that it goes New York Giants, Carolina Panthers, Raiders, Chargers, Panthers twice. So this is okay. This is okay. Get through this game and kind of see where you're at from there. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. The Buccaneers are just fine, and we'll see all of you on the next one.